This is the TNA Wrestling January 18, 2024 full show results video which takes place in Las Vegas, Nevada at Palms Casino Resort. The show started with the X Division 6-way match between Mike Bailey vs Kushida vs Jake Something vs El Hijo del Vikingo vs Trey Miguel vs Laredo Kid, and the result of this match was Jake Something won the match by pinfall when Laredo Kid hit Bailey with a Spanish fly off the top, and Something hits Kid with Into the Void and pins for the win. Backstage, Gia Miller speaks to Will Ospreay ahead of his anticipated rematch against Josh Alexander. Ospreay recalls beating Josh before and has represented wrestling across the globe recently, and he challenges Josh Alexander to step up tonight. We see a new vignette for Ash by Elegance followed by highlights of Giselle Shaw winning Ultimate X at Hard to Kill. Shaw speaks and says she did what she said she was going to do. She puts Jordan on notice when Gail Kim walks up and tries to congratulate her. Kim tells Shaw that she doesn't need the help of the Chantrage. Giselle ignores her and walks off. The next match happened between Tasha Steelz vs Zaya Brookside, and the result of this match was Zaya Brookside defeated Tasha Steelz by pinfall when Zaya caught Steelz with the Brookside Bomb and trapped her in a pinfall for the win. We see a replay of AJ Francis chokeslamming Joe Hendry on Saturday, and backstage, Hendry calls for them to let bygones be bygones. After all, he still has DJ Who Kid's laptop. It's then revealed that Kid was taken out behind Hendry. The next match happened between Frankie Kazarian and Eric Young vs Grizzled Young Vets, and the result of this match was Grizzled Young Vets defeated Frankie Kazarian and Eric Young by pinfall when Drake kicked Young in the back of the head before Kazarian stopped Sliced Bread, but he accidentally clubs Eric Young, and then GYV hits Grit Your Teeth on Young and Drake pins him. After the match, Kazarian gets upset and runs over Eric Young with a clothesline. He stares at the camera and looks at the fans with a look in his eye before running back to kick his tag partner. Kazarian drops him with Fade to Black, and Vegas equally turns their back on Kazarian as he walks to the back. Nic Nemeth comes to the ring, and Nemeth reflects on his path to TNA and declares he's coming after the TNA World title, but he respects the locker room enough to not just stroll in and get the title match. This is his first day and he's going to start all over and earn his way to the top. This time, he's doing it as Nic Nemeth. Steve Maclin interrupts, and he calls out Nemeth for claiming he gives to the business. He only gives but never takes. Nemeth tries to talk but Maclin lowers his mic, and Maclin says Nick will suck the blood out of TNA and go on to somewhere else. Fans won't remember Nic Nemeth, they'll just ask what happened to Dolph Ziggler. Maclin knocks his mic out so Nemeth slaps him and then hits Danger Zone to lay Maclin out. Backstage, Gia speaks to Jordynne Grace about becoming a 3-time world champ. Trinity walks up and congratulates her but reminds her she wants her rematch next week. Trinity claims she will leave the champ again. The next match happened between Jai Vidal vs PCO, but before the match, Jai Vidal randomly walked down to the ring with a mic in hand. He reminds everyone that he got his wrestling start in Vegas. He then turns on the crowd before PCO's music hits. Jai is shaken at the fact that PCO is his opponent. Then the match starts, PCO clotheslines him, and then hits a chokeslam. PCO hits PCO Salt off the top and wins the match by pinfall. Backstage, we hear from Motor City Machine Guns and Kazuchika Okada ahead of their 6-man tag against the System next week. It's also confirmed we'll see Grace vs Trinity rematch for the title plus Nemeth vs Wentz. In the main event of the show, we saw a rematch between Josh Alexander vs Will Ospreay, and the result of this match was Josh Alexander defeated Will Ospreay by pinfall when Ospreay counters C4 and goes for Styles Clash. Josh rolls it into an ankle lock and Will tries to kick him off. Josh lifts Will into Styles Clash, near fall, and then Josh nails C4 Spike in response and that does it and wins the match. After the match, Scott D'Amore enters the ring and says, "Holy shit," the crowd chants in response. Scott recalls watching wrestling at his dying grandfather's bedside when he was 4, and he's been beaten up over the years all over the world. He saw the lows, the dead corpse of TNA years ago. He watched the fans, watched people like Alexander and Ospreay, roll up their sleeves and manually pump the heart for TNA to live again. Scott expresses his happiness over Hard to Kill and Ospreay vs Alexander. TNA is back and it's never, ever going away. Josh Alexander and Will Ospreay raise their hands to close the show.